Welcome. You made it. Today we'll discuss how our life talk becomes our self-talk, specifically understanding the source of resistance and how we can shift from looking at resistance as an obstacle to more of a friend. But before we get started, I invite you to lean in wherever you are, however you are. Perhaps close your eyes if that's comfortable for you, or lower your gaze. And as the thunder in my area starts to rumble just at this moment, what are 3 words that describe how you are in this moment? That can be emotions, energetically, physically. But what are 3 words that describe how you are in this present moment? That was your first pocket of silence. Was it comfortable for you? Uncomfortable? Were you waiting for it to be over? Did you start thinking about the thing that we were talking about, or did you start to think about something else, the chatter mind? So throughout this presentation, there will be pockets of silence, and I will hold that time for you. During that time, I invite you to sit with the silence and reflect, journal if you happen to have one, or just through your own mind, processing some of which comes up. So my 3 words right now are relaxed, uncomfortable, and curious. I'm relaxed because I'm in a space that I've cultivated that relaxes me. I'm uncomfortable simply because it's the season where colds start to show up and allergies, and this is the day that it decided to rear its head much more strongly than I would like. And it was a form of resistance. I could easily not record this evening, maybe tomorrow, the day after, the day after, the day after. Don't know if it's going to get better or not, but then maybe some other resistance will come up. I'm tired, I'm busy, I should be doing schoolwork instead, right? So resistance shows up for us in many different ways, many different forms. It's what we do with that resistance that counts. I'm also curious. I'm curious about who you are, why you're here, what you're hoping to achieve, what it was about this talk that made you tune in and not skip to the next one. So that's what we're here tonight to discuss, right? This idea of change. Man, change is attractive. It's desirable. Change is just this thing that's so alluring and seductive and appealing. But when we start stepping toward dreaming, manifesting, thinking, or actually creating change, the but comes up. All about resistance, all about what's underneath that, whether it's known to you, unknown to you, has been squelched down for years, if it's a new thing that's manifesting for you in this arena. The bottom line is we're going to explore the but. And once you understand what your source of your own resistance is, you can start to use it as a friend. And when your resistance pops up, you'll say to it, I see you. That's interesting. Thank you for sharing that with me. Because resistance comes up for so many different reasons. Here's an example. I've been a burnout prevention strategist since 2014. Education and integrity is super important to me. So before I was going to identify as a coach, I wanted to ensure that I had the credentialing, the training, the proper information to first do no harm to others. So I did a 250-hour, 9-month intensive training. It was a hybrid, online and in person. And when I first showed up in that arena, I heard everybody around the room introducing themselves, and I started to have imposter syndrome. Who am I? Who am I? And when I said, oh, I'm just a teacher, the room said, wow, if we could have more teachers in a room like this, the world would be a different place. Don't just yourself. So don't just yourself. I'm confident with my ability to support you in this conversation. I'm also a yoga teacher, so I've been exploring mindfulness and what that means to me. And if you heard me say yoga and you rolled your eyes because you're thinking bendy handstands, that's not my arena. For me, yoga is all about the slow, activating the relaxation response. I teach gentle yoga. Sometimes people call me the anti-flow because the flow is really slow. I now do yin yoga, which is almost restorative, but with props so you can hold with a little bit of an edge. And I also do yoga nidra, which is pretty much a gateway to meditation. So for me, I'm all about uncovering what makes us tick. And I share my credentials with you because I want you to trust that I'm holding a space for you where the information is real, the information is relevant. And then I also put it up a little bit as a shield. I put it up as a shield because my resistance is coming up for me that perhaps I'm not enough. Or perhaps there's a thought as why her and not me. Or perhaps there's a thought of maybe she's not good enough. Or maybe you don't like my crystal or my candle. Or maybe you don't like my voice or my face. And that comes up for me too. I grew up with a very critical family member who would look at me and say, it's a good thing you're smart. When I would be in choir, select choir, tryouts, competitions, and I would get through, she would say to me, super surprising that someone would want to hear you sing, would look at photographs of me and tell me I couldn't take a good photo, would remind me that a camera would add weight, would hug me and roll her hands down my side and pinch anything that she could find. But she loved me, right? So anytime I do something that's new in front of a camera, not the camera itself, but new in front of a camera, that old story pops up, that resistance of not being good enough or being judged for my appearance and my message not being accepted because of that pops. So I share that with you because that's my healing. Hurt people, healed people, help people. And then there's everyone else who's in transit, right? Our wounds make us stronger. They point to our story. They point to that which can serve other people. So if you're in this space, if you're here because, you desire change and you have any thoughts that you're not worth it, or you're not good enough, or it's for those other people, I'm here to tell you that it is for everyone and there's enough for everyone. At the bottom, there's a mantra and it says, yes, you, yes, now, because you matter. That came up for me when I first started to coach and I thought about my ideal client and I thought about the resistance that the client would have. Oh, could this even possibly be for me? Yes, for you. Well, I'm like way too busy. This isn't something that I can do right now. Yes, now. Well, I can't do it because, because, and all these other things and other people come first. No, you need to do this because you matter. So if you feel resistance, as we're talking about resistance, I invite you to bring your eyes to the bottom of that worksheet. Yes, you. Yes, now, because you matter. So first, I invite you to identify what your desirable change is. The change can be anything you would like. It could be physical, it could be with your mindset, it could be with your spirituality. The change could be a change in environment, change in relationship, change in job. But sometimes when people are looking for a change in relationship, change in job, and change in living situation, once they do the work within, they find that the change is not the outside that needed to be changed. So just a little warning there. The change can be an action that you want to take, or it can simply be how you want to be. So my change for myself for this year is to allow myself to accept opportunities to speak more. My change for myself for this year since my birthday from July on is to release fear, to acknowledge it, to accept it, to understand what it's telling me, but to give myself permission to release the fear and move forward. Not get over it, not let it go, but to move forward, acknowledging that the fear points to something. So my desired change is to be brave. My desired change is to take risks. What's your desired change? As you continue to process that, I'll take a sip from my naughty and nice mug. We all have two sides to us, yes? So maybe now as you're thinking about what your desired change is, two sides of you are at war with yourself. There's this adage about there are two wolves within us. The good wolf, the bad wolf. So maybe it's your naughty wolf, your nice wolf, or the one that serves you, the one that gets in your way. And the adage is the wolf that you feed is the one that survives. So which voice are you listening to? Notice I drank through the middle, not one side or the other. So I want you to close your eyes. I invite you to do that that's comfortable for you. And I want you to very simply say to yourself, in some way, shape, or form, this change that you want in an I will statement. So calling it out loud and indicating what it will be. For example, I will be brave. I will be fearless. I will use my voice. I will be healthy. I will be peaceful. I will be calm. I will hold my ground. Whatever it is, I invite you to say that 3 times until you hear the chime. These are lovely. They're also fun to hit your ring off of. So now I want you to sit with that I will and how you want to be. And now I want you to think about the but. What's the but that comes up for you? Yes, I want this. Yes, I will be this, but write down or reflect on your resistance. What comes up for you? Could be an emotion, could be an old story, could be a fear that someone has put into your mind, could be a story that's true, or could be one that you inherited from your ancestors, could be something that someone said that we've twisted in and taken in another way. Sometimes when we're so close to having what we want, we sabotage ourselves. So what's coming up for you? Once you know what the but is, another rumble of thunder, don't know if you heard that. Once we know what the but is, I want you to understand that it's present for you, but we don't have to feed that wolf. It's there and it will guide you. It says, what are some core values that honor this resistance? Values really truly point to things that we believe are truths, and they're born out of what we've learned from childhood, our culture, our family, education, religion, other systems that we've been exposed to. Sometimes they're born out of our experiences of what we've had, and sometimes they're born out of what we didn't get to have. So here's an example. About maybe 13 years ago, I first did values work with an organization as I was on a network, and we were organizing ourselves with our values as a system and then our own individual values. And when we did our individual values, we looked at our personal life and our professional lives, like what were our top values. And at that time, my top value in my arena of personal and professional was the same. And it was my sense of integrity, my sense of integrity. Whatever that meant to me, however I interpreted it, that's what it meant to me. And that explained to me why I was in conflict all the time, because too much those worlds were colliding or not intersecting in a way that it made me able to be my full self. Number one, I don't do that anymore. So I now know how to say no to that which doesn't serve me or serve the mission. So it's interesting how you can go without, find ways to get it that are unhealthy, and then you can do the work to heal and then get the thing that you thought that you needed and realize you didn't. And that's what I want for you. I just want to offer you some options to think through. The paper that you may have with the values on it, there's some blank spots so you can fill in other values as they pop for you. You can do many different things with this. There's a podcast episode that guides you into deeper work to truly go deeper with your values. But if you scan the list, you'll notice family is not on the list of values. And that's on purpose. I take family off of the list because 9 out of 10, when I'm working with a client, whether they're an adolescent or an adult, they will say blah, 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 because my family. So the resistance is their family in many different ways, many different ways. So I said, take family off the table. Think about what you value about family, and then put that on your list. My values have changed and evolved over time, and to be perfectly honest, I think I'm due for another inventory. But about, 2-3 years ago, I did like another round of this, and what was coming up for me was authenticity, voice. Self-care is always on there, but I've worked on that one, so I don't always get it on my list. freedom, flexibility. Can't remember all the other ones now because I feel like I'm in balance and I'm in alignment. It's when I'm out of alignment that I find myself turning to them a lot. But this values work is the number one thing my clients say is helpful to them in their decision-making process and crafting that life that they want. So as you heard me say some, did they pop for you? Maybe you need acknowledgement, and that's not a yucky thing. The idea of being seen and heard, like we're on this earth, joy is your birthright. So sometimes being seen and heard is like an indicator that you're gotten. Someone gets you, right? Like what do kids say to each other, especially teens? I got you. There's a reason why they say that. You know, is it autonomy? Do you want this sense of having control over your own world? Is it acceptance? Is it balance? Is it comfort? And comfort, I don't mean you have an easy life, but is it like more easeful in what you have? Are you having comfort like within it? Are you looking for dependability, perhaps from someone in your life? And if you are, I invite you to look within. Is it your health? Are you looking for honesty? Are you looking for intimacy? And not necessarily physical intimacy, but intimacy, a connection with another individual. Perhaps you crave privacy or peace or the sense of purpose. Security always comes up for me. That just popped for me today. Security and safety. So, you know, as I talk to you about what I want for my own future, if I can tell you my vision for it, I could go off forever. My butt is fear, and it comes back to my sense of security. Am I going to make a decision that will affect my sense of security? So take a moment, if you haven't already done so, think about the butt. So what is your core value that honors the resistance? And notice we say honors the resistance, right? Because we want to look at resistance as a friend. What core values come up for you? So if you only wrote one, that's awesome. If you wrote 20 or checked them off, that's great. As you progress through this, try to narrow it down to 3. You can have as many as you want, but for the purposes of then moving forward, if you can drill it down to like your top 3 or the 3 that are calling to you the loudest, that would be helpful. To think about a choice or an action that can honor this resistance. So choice and action, that can be mindset, that could literally be something that you do, something that you think, something that you say that honors the resistance that comes up. So for example, if my desirable change is to speak my truth more to a larger audience, and the but that holds me back is something that, well, my security could be jeopardized because I might say something that could cause a conflict for me with my full-time employer. The core value that comes up for that again is my security, but that butts up against my desire to be authentic. So what choice or action can I take to honor this resistance? Sometimes it's just acknowledging that it exists. Sometimes it's acknowledging that even though there are people who will say to me, so when you're going to quit your day job and do this full time? I'm like, I don't know, when you pay me as much as my other job. I don't necessarily believe that I have to quit my full-time job to be fully authentic in my other arenas of my life, and that I can't bring my other arenas of my life into my full-time job. I believe everything can coexist, but my choice, my action is to remember that I have a responsibility to the system that I'm a part of. And part of my choice and part of my action is to be mindful of it. Part of my choice, part of my action is to accept opportunities to be a speaker, to travel, but always remember that which grounds me and not burn everything to the ground to rise to the other arena. I think that's important. I think that there's ways that we can find opportunities to coexist and not battle within ourselves. I'm either a this or I'm a this, where really the way that we choose to carry ourselves through lives can just come up in all avenues of our life, not just one role that we have. Very often we introduce ourselves to people and we tell them our labels and who we are, and that's great. I do it. But what if we introduced ourselves and we said to people, you know, hi, I'm Suzie. I'm kind, I'm calm, I'm peaceful. Unless someone cuts me off on the road, then it's over. I love cats, I love zombies, I desire travel. I want to be in a world where people take a breath before they interact with one another, and I'm looking to engage with other people who are no longer interested in hiding their truth. What would that be like? What would that be like if we could lean in when we meet people and just really truly tell them who we are without our jobs, without being mom, daughter, wife, all the things. All those things are always a part of us, but who we are at our core makes us who we are in those roles. What's an action that you can take? What honors the resistance? Not makes the resistance go away, not quiet it. What honors it? Take a nice deep breath in through your nose and out through your mouth. Nice deep breath in, fill that belly button up with air. Expand it like a balloon and then let it go out your mouth. Surrender breath. One more in through your nose, deep, deep. Expand that belly like a balloon. Surrender breath through your mouth. What are 3 words that describe you in this moment? How are you? I'm excited, a little embarrassed, still curious. The embarrassment comes up because I'm replaying some of the things that I told you about myself. Like, oh, maybe that was too much. But it comes up for a reason. So I'm gonna work through the resistance of the embarrassment and just acknowledge that maybe there's one person that heard something that I said so far and it's helping them unlock their own resistance. So I'm gonna reflect on this and perhaps close your eyes. What would be possible if you could move through or forward with the resistance? So we know what we want. We know the resistance that comes up. We know the core value that it points to. We're starting to think about an action or a choice that we can take. But really and truly, what would be possible if you could move forward or through with that resistance? And what if you expanded that possibility? What if you made it bigger than you dare to dream? What comes up in your body when you think about that or hear that? Butterflies of excitement or fear? Excitement and fear feel very similar. How's your heart rate? Fast or slow? How about your shoulders? Are they scrunched up to your ears? If so, let's let them go. Allow some space between your teeth. Take the tongue off the roof of your mouth. Smooth out your forehead. Perhaps open your mouth a little bit. What truly, truly is possible if you allow yourself to dream. Oh, that radical, radical possibility. Oh, let me tell you. I love to speak more, would love to travel, would love to live out of the country. Like that comes up for me, and I'm gonna let it just stay there, because if I go any further with it, I can feel the resistance, right? I can start to feel the resistance pop up for me, but I'm like, I don't know what it's gonna be. But yeah, so staying with that possibility as the thunder roars. Man, that thunder's only coming up during certain things. Wonder what that's about. So we have this sense of what it could be like if we would move through that resistance or take it along with us, not as a backpack full of heavy boulders, but more so like experience that informs us, so we can like look for that which serves that resistance or helps us at least put that burden down for a little while. What is your evolved self-talk message? Our life talk becomes our self-talk. So if before our messaging was, I'm unworthy, I'm unattractive, I'm unlovable, I'm alone, I'm an awful human being, I can't do this because, with some of the reflection that you've done or can still do, what is your evolved self-talk going to be? I've gone through, I'm healthy. I've gone through, my body is my friend. I've gone through, I'm a healer, and I resisted that one for a while. And then I'm back to, I am well. And I'm still playing a little bit with the word ignite. I know what ignite means to me. Like, I'm a spark. But even though I think about being a spark for others, you first have to take care of yourself. So I have to go back to the idea of like, I am well, I am whole, I am healthy. So if you take a look at that, or you're just listening in, the idea of a self-talk message could be very simple, this I am statement. And the I am statement can be your truth of now, it could be in progress, or it could be your vision for the future, right? So all of those are possibilities. And I would invite you to do what we do in coaching, which is to not only have a statement, but an image and a stance. So here's some examples. When I was coaching at the beginning and I was dealing with people with obstacles and resistance, I'm like, what am I going to do? Okay, I'm the river. That was mine. I am the river. And I had the image of boulders as the resistance. And I was the river that was going around the boulder and helping my clients go around. And my stance would be to rock and go side to side, which then carried into one of my teacher stances, which was, sometimes I do have to be the boulder for my students. I have to be the unmovable, the unshakable, no matter what. I'm always moving. And then I had the image of a sponge where I could soak it up and then I could wring the sponge out and release it. Because when you're taking on for other people and you carry it for yourself, that's how you start to wear yourself down and burn out. So for me, that's evolved over time as well. So I just simply invite you to think about your I am statement, an image that you can associate with it, or even a tangible object. Some people like to have a photograph of the object or the real object that they bring in. And then a stance, some sort of a physical embodiment that you could bring in. Your evolved self-talk message. I am an image and a stance. Do you have it? It's okay if you don't. You may need to think about this some more. So again, what is your evolved self-talk message? How are you now going to walk through life? How are you going to allow resistance to be your friend and meet resistance on the playing field as opposed to the battlefield? When resistance comes up for you, remember to say, thank you. I see you. That's interesting. Resistance will never go away. It's there to serve a purpose, to guide us, to protect us, whatever you choose to believe. But just making it and wishing it go away, all it does is come up in different ways and in ways that are not healthy for us. And as part of your own evolution journey, make sure that you listen to and respect and honor your resistance. Reminder of our self-talk is our life walk. That's something that has been the heartbeat of my work for years. This quote in the middle by After Dawn, a beautiful person in our community, she said this once at a conference and it stuck with me. Belief comes from the outside world, truth comes from the inside. Belief comes from the outside world, truth comes from the inside. So as resistance comes up for you, think about if it's a belief or if it's a truth. Do you own it or did someone put it upon you? I do have a podcast called Keep Your Candle Lit, and whether you choose to listen to the podcast or not, I invite you to think about that idea of keeping your candle lit. What lights you up? What serves you? And I like to throw paper. Start asking other people, What lights them up? Because you'd be surprised how people light up when you ask them. Just to wrap up a little bit about how we could stay connected. Okay, Thunder, I won't talk that much, to share with you a little bit of how we can still stay connected. You can find me on social media or my website. My handle's Coachucation. That's Coach, the letter U, and Cation, like the intersection of coaching and education. I have a book. It's called Because ... You Matter. It's a beautiful book, in my humble opinion. There's a featured artist, Leslie Gerhardt, dear friend of mine, beautiful soul. On my website, you can get information about ways that we can collaborate. There's an example of using the Oracle cards for a 30-minute precision coaching session. I am asked from time to time if I'm accepting new clients, and I can just very simply say that I protect my schedule fiercely. It's more easeful for me to book a 30-minute precision coaching session with you than it is to take on a full-time coaching client. But I am opening up my roster in 2020 for just one soul, for one client. I do not have any pro bono spots or reduced rate spots opened right now. Those are all filled. And I do view my podcast as a way to be of service to the community. So if that would be of a support to you, I invite you to listen in. But I just want to offer you one more opportunity to breathe and check in. And I'll close us out with a chime. So take a nice deep breath in through your nose. Make yourself nice and tall. Out through your mouth. Nice deep breath in, fill the belly and hold. Surrender the breath through the mouth. One more on your own. Deep breath in. Deep breath out. What are 3 words that describe you in this final moment? In its deepest form, Namaste means I bow to you. The light in me sees and acknowledges the light that is within you. May you be well, may you be calm, may you be peaceful. Namaste. Take care.